Okay, so a few months ago, I think we saw a hint of the future of YouTube when a video clip of Milei, the new president of Argentina, went viral.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Hoy estoy acá
Today I'm here
para decirles que Occidente
to tell you that the Western world is in danger.
No, not that clip. I mean this version.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Today I am present to inform you that the Western world is facing a significant threat. It is in danger because those who are supposed to defend the values of the Western world are co-opted by a worldview that inevitably leads to socialism and consequently to poverty and economic deprivation.
The content of Milei's speech was pure catnip for libertarian and anarcho-capitalists in America and around the world, and it generated a huge discussion and reaction on various platforms, especially Twitter, but also on YouTube. But I'll get back to the content of Milei's talk at the end of the video. What I really want to focus on here are the implications of the compelling AI-generated version of the speech, as if Milei could speak fluent English, which he can't. Of course, there are huge risks around this kind of technology, as you can now essentially make anyone say anything in any language.
I'm also a deep fake, and you should take care when you watch a video on the internet.
But I expect that digital signatures will be used to help us distinguish between authentic and fake content. What I'm excited by is the fantastic opportunity that this auto-translation technology suggests for the future of global public discussions. So currently on YouTube, their worldwide platform is effectively split into a whole set of linguistic regions where, let's say, Spanish creators upload content in Spanish for their Spanish audience, and Japanese speakers have their own silo of content. The sense that language splits up humanity into separate cultures with linguistic barriers between us is deeply embedded in our ancient stories like the parable of the Tower of Babel, in which the multitude of different languages are created precisely to prevent humanity from being able to work together effectively on a grand project of building a tower up to the heavens. But arguably, there has never been a more important time for all of humanity to be discussing and collaborating on how best to face the various threats that we're creating for the biosphere of our shared planet, and for the stability and health of our societies. And in recent decades, domains like science, business, and computing have supported a trend for English to become a widely spoken language that's understood across the globe, and in which there can therefore be a global discussion involving at least some members of all cultures. Now, it seems that YouTube doesn't publish information about the percentage of videos created in each language, but I've seen some people using viewership information like this recent data from Global Media Insights as a proxy to suggest that the majority of videos on YouTube are probably in English. However, there's also clearly a large audience for other languages too. The huge global reach of YouTube means that it is already, to some degree, a platform that enables a potentially global discussion. And a naive view would be to hope that English could be used as the language for such a global discussion. But, of course, the vast majority of people around the world do not speak any English, or certainly don't speak it to the level that would allow them to participate meaningfully in a detailed discussion. So, to include everyone, what we really need is a multilingual YouTube. So, before discussing the dream version of YouTube, how does YouTube handle multiple languages now? For the largest professional content creators like Mr. Beast,
why do we keep doing this? I thought it'd be fun!
They pay a whole set of professional actors to dub their content into a number of different languages. This must be hugely expensive and time-consuming. And for a while, Mr. Beast had a range of different channels in various different languages where you could watch this dubbed content. So, at a basic level, anyone could do the same now using AI tools like HeyGen to create auto-translated versions of their content. The one thing these AI tools can't yet do well is the ability to capture and replicate properly the intonation and emphasis used by the original speaker. But I'm sure this will improve with time, especially seeing, for example, the impressive recent progress on more realistic facial expressions and more detailed lip syncing done by Microsoft.
But you can imagine I have a lot of questions. So I'd love to begin with you firstly, just because I read that you started out in advertising.
But even if you had the budget to pay for all this auto-translation, to me, a key problem of taking this multi-channel approach for this kind of discussion-style content is that then the reaction discussions in the comments section would be separated into the different linguistic silos, removing the possibility of sparking a cross-cultural discussion that everyone can get involved with. More recently, YouTube has facilitated the ability for one video to have different audio tracks for different languages. So Mr. Beast has closed down all of his separate channels and now just publishes one canonical version of each video with a whole bunch of dubbed audio tracks created with his team of voice actors.
The objective for day 2 is simple. We need to build a bigger and rainproof shelter. We need more
が痛いから快適な椅子も必要だ。もっといい焚き火台も。
ケツ痛いよ。
雨が降った時に葉っぱやタープに水が垂れずに後ろに落ちる。俺たちが新しい
recursos para el nuevo refugio antiinflable. ¿Se la robaron? No. Se la robó,
Apareció en la playa.
Entonces no es robar.
But this approach means that you don't get the lip syncing and voice cloning that together make it look like the original content creator is simply speaking each language. Now, opinions on this are going to vary, but to me, I find the lip syncing approach much more compelling, and as long as it is clearly marked as an AI auto-translation, I think this would be a much better approach. So what I'd really like to see from YouTube is a feature where you upload your video once and YouTube offers the lip-synced auto-translation as part of its built-in service. Maybe there would be some key languages that YouTube commercially decide to fund for free, and then you could pay for additional languages. Remember, the costs of these tools will rapidly come down over the next few years. And then, I think it would be great if by default, the viewer would simply see the content and the comments in their own language. In the following simple mock-up, I imagine what this would look like for viewers from 3 different languages. So Altman is drawing a distinction between being を単に平均的であることとの違いを明確にしています。アルトマンは基本的に彼らのシステムが専門家の仕事を置き換えることは期待していないと述べています。It is highly likely that the economic gains from AI will not be sufficiently shared, lo que podría aumentar la desigualdad y desestabilizar las democracias. And in the comments section, a Japanese person could also see and reply to the comments in Japanese by default, even if the underlying comments were originally written in another language. It would be essential for YouTube to clearly mark any content that has been auto-translated, and to provide easy access to the originals. But I think it would be a much more compelling experience to be able to immediately engage with the video and the comments section in your own language, as if everyone spoke, say, Japanese. But this would only work if YouTube upgrades their platform to not only host multiple audio tracks, but also multiple lip-sync copies of the video. So, of course, this would be more expensive for YouTube, but it seems clear that as of today, we actually have the technology to make this a reality. And it would massively grow the potential audience for the best content on YouTube. So I imagine the investment would easily be worth it for YouTube. To get the best quality audio, you may have to upload the voice track separate from the background track, but I'm sure that could be solved. And if YouTube did adopt this technology as the default behavior for all videos, I think it could have a profound impact, opening the floodgates for cross-cultural dialogue. The best YouTubers from every language would now be available to everyone. Niche genres of content could now flow seamlessly between cultures all across the world. YouTube could become a global forum for everyone to join in to share discussions about everything and nothing, as if everyone in the world spoke your language. So, briefly, what about the content of Milei's speech? There's so much to say, so many details to unpick, but I think the big picture criticism that I'll mention here is that throughout the speech, he repeatedly insists that if you're not supporting his kind of full-blown libertarian laissez-faire capitalism, then you're well down the path to some form of socialist collectivism that will result in an impoverished society.
For instance, implementing regulations on monopolies, dismantling their profits, and obliterating increasing returns would inevitably annihilate economic growth. In other words, each time you want to correct a presumed market failure, inevitably, due to not knowing the market or because you have become attached to a failed model, you are opening doors to socialism and condemning people to poverty.
What? In England, we have privatized, monopolistic water companies who have made massive profits, have underinvested in infrastructure, and are now regularly dumping raw sewage into our waterways. Does Milei seriously think that it's a mistake to try to better regulate these companies that are ruining our rivers and beaches? I think it's clear that his rhetoric deliberately oversimplifies the discussion. There are plenty of other voices who both champion the merits of capitalism, whilst also noting the ways that it can be corrupted, the ways that it can be improved, and indeed the importance of it being sensibly regulated by a liberal democratic state. So it's a false dichotomy to suggest that you either have to choose libertarian capitalism or collectivism. And yet nowadays, I see many voices using similar rhetorical moves to try to push people into this kind of out-of-date, left-right, 20th century thinking that we need to get beyond. I think the most reasonable position is to be in favour of good capitalism, but against the bad parts of capitalism, and similarly, always arguing for the importance of liberal democracy, whilst also looking for ways to improve the governance and effectiveness of our nation states. Nuance is allowed, but maybe one day I'll make a video that critiques in detail the various arguments made by Milei. And it would be great if that could be a single, multilingual video that could spark a discussion between, for example, the English-speaking Americans who are so thrilled by his speech, and the Spanish-speaking Argentinians who are living with Milei as their president. But what do you think of this feature suggestion for YouTube? And indeed, what did you think of Milei's speech? Please do continue the discussion in the comments below, in whatever language you prefer. Thank you for watching.